Hey, Hannah,
Hello.
and hello, listeners, and welcome to the Workship Podcast, where our religion requires us to work in its service. And we sure hope this podcast counts because half of us have nothing else going on. I'm Matt Reardon, the straight man of the show, and aforementioned person with nothing going on, joined as always by our fully employed and colorful color commentator, Hannah Messinger.
I really thought you were going to go for straight man, Matt Reardon, bisexual woman, Connor Messinger.
Oh, fuck, that would have been good. I should have done that.
Next time.
Yeah, we'll settle on a
I
permanent
think
one.
it really is my favorite, or it's just like the most alpha low hanging fruit for jokes is the joke I thought somebody was making and I misunderstood. And then I just make it.
Yeah, no, editing is so much easier than writing in the first instance, right?
So true. So true. We all know it. I watched some of the clip you put online of our podcast with Trevor Levin.
Mm-hmm.
I also recently was listening to Nate Soares, one of our very own, on Steve Bannon's podcast. And I was like, we can talk about all those things with the content, but this is an extremely contentless point. I have the cadence, and so does he. There's a cadence. I listened to myself talk on the Trevor, and I was like, oh, I once described this to somebody as frenetic with pauses, where you like quickly get out 3 words, basically overlapping, and then you pause. And then you have a favorite word, and then you say something else, and then you pause. All right, well, I found myself annoying to listen to. I hope my listeners don't. Hey, guys.
Well, look, I'll say 2 things. One is that is how they like train you as a trial lawyer to like make very strategic uses of pause for emphasis. When there's like a key concept you want to get across to a jury or a judge or something like that, it's like, say the thing, pause. So it's
Nice.
good. I don't know. It has some validation.
You know about the Robert Caro thing, right?
Do I? Maybe not.
Robert Caro has an approach to getting his recalcitrant or reticent interviewees to speak more, which is to not say anything. By the way, this also works extremely well as a teacher. And in general, if you're somebody who takes up a lot of space, it can be really valuable to just like leave an extraordinary amount of what teachers would call hang time. Anyway, but he needed to do something to stop himself from interrupting. And so he would write on his own paper, SU, SU, SU over and over again, which meant shut up, shut up, shut up.
Well, sometimes that's what you need. I was going to say, other profession that's good for is police interrogator.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. The power of God, will somebody please fill the silence? I would confess anything. Feels like a long conversation.
Good to know.
Well, have you done any crimes lately? I just want this to be a symmetric, fair relationship. I say to my police investigator. We should both be invested. What if you started circling with your police investigator? That would be very funny. I have a story where you. It's a different thing entirely. Anyway,
the other point is that the whole purpose, or like one of the very large purposes of the show, is to have this cadence and other kind of attendant attributes rub off on, well, me already, but also the listeners.
All the more so when you move to Berkeley in 3 weeks.
Oh yeah, I'm going to be fully immersed. Can't wait.
Can we do a countdown?
A countdown? What is the quality of the countdown going to be?
Every time we get on the pod, there's a T minus how many days until Matt.
Oh yeah, so October. Now people already know the podcast comes out very late. We were talking about the Iran conflict in the podcast that came out today, which is September 21st, 2025. But bringing it back to my theme, now that I'm unemployed, I think these podcasts are going to be coming out much more quickly, maybe weekly for a little while as we get through the back catalog.
Whoa. The Workshop Podcast.
And yeah, I guess related to my unemployment and general character, I'm also engaging in a bunch of self-sabotage right through my writing, in particular, attacking one of the organizations that is perhaps most likely to employ me in the future, namely 80,000 Hours, a place you might have heard of. I'm refining my 80K critique, basically for the EA forum to be less personal and more accessible. Here are the dimensions on which you could agree or disagree, and go work it out, people. And a thought that I've been having
Less personal and more accessible is a surprising
True, true,
combination,
true.
I would say. But
Well, accessible for like highly rationalist types who just want to deal with the abstract concepts and not with like Matt's personal story. Um, uh, I might make reference to the personal story, but
as you think it's so important, because if it was too much about your personal story, you might think it was, a sign of epistemic collapse on the part of the writer.
Yeah. But I think one of the thrusts of the thing that's going to be relevant to the name of today's show is like, ADK is this very like central kind of like load bearing part of like EA culture. It's like the place that I guess a plurality or like whatever of EA type people kind of look to for like what's going on, what's the deal. And I'm thinking that like maybe the focus on AGI, which is like the focus of my old post and my new post or whatever, and otherwise focus like making it more abstract again, focus on like marginality as this like central tenet of EA that maybe ADK embodies better than other places, is really making it hard for EA to be this like widespread, widely appealing thing for lots of people. It's like putting this constraint on the movement because it's like the way that you're a good member of this movement or the way that you are a good EA and you participate is you do the thing that ADK says. And what ADK says is like, do this marginally valuable work that really is only going to apply to some like very small number of people. And so then when people try to self-identify with the thing, they're like, well, the measure has been set and I experimented with a little or thought about it a little and I don't really meet it. So I guess this isn't probably the group that's going to include me. And I think this is similar.
Marginal. Do you mean something like elite? Do you mean thinking on the margin, or you mean something else?
Not even Hannah knows what I mean when I say marginal. I have this old BBC appearance where like this professor did not understand.
BBC?
Yeah. Not the TV, the radio. But anyway, that's what they tell me. I have a face for radio.
Implied.
Implied, thanks.
Don't worry, I have hand gestures. The hand gestures for radio.
So anyway, and the professor, like I said, like, oh no, but I'm thinking about like what's most important on the margin here. And I was like criticizing arts funding, basically, which is a very popular position to take. And she was like, when you say you want to push artists to the margins of society, and I was like,
nice, great, that's amazing, amazing.
No, oh God.
The takeaway from that is that she's dumb and not you fucked up your communications.
Well, it's a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. She's like a PhD. She should know what terms mean. In context.
These are economics terms.
Everyone should know Econ 101, I think.
I mean, you and me both, but, like...
Yeah. Maybe more of column B. Fair enough. So anyway, I don't know.
That's really unfortunate.
And the historical callback that I want to make is you had nothing to do with ADK at the time. Or like very little to do with it.
It's really good that the longer this podcast goes on, the less you'll be able to say that, and the more stressed you'll be about making historical critiques of 80,000 hours.
I think that's a positive commentary on the longevity of the show. Yeah, like this big pivot away from like EA means earning to give, which is something that everyone can do in their own way and feel like they're a part of the thing, to EA is direct work. It's like very centrally driven by ADK. And now I just think from a community perspective, again, call back to the Julia Wise episode, which we'll release before this one, where I'm like, I care more about the ideas than the impact. Like, is ADK doing it again, right? Is like making the criteria for being a good EA narrower and narrower, and therefore like gonna stymie kind of community growth?
Is ADK doing it again? I mean, this is such a funny, okay, classic. Okay. This is an ongoing, I think, type of intellectual fight that happens all over the place. And maybe we can like tease it apart a little bit. How do I even begin? Let's take the specifics. The obvious counter to like the thing you've just said is what? We're telling people what we think the most valuable thing to do is. We're not tracking the second order effect of whether a lot of people can do it or few people can do it. That's not our job. Our job is to straightforwardly say what we mean and say what we think. And then like people in your position do some combination of the following two. You can tell me which you think you're doing and tell me if you think this is fair, which is some combination of like either, hey, the second order effects actually just matter a lot and you should be tracking them. Or two, like actually, it's all extremely convenient for you to say like, oh, I'm just like an extremely truth-seeking person and I'm unaffected by things like the aesthetic of what I'm recommending, or whether it's vibes elitist or vibes anti-elitist or whatever else. But in fact, you probably are influenced by that kind of thing, and you should track that as well. And I think this like, oh, I've just reinvented contextualization and decoupling. I just realized that. Wow, I really was about to go on a tear of this deep underlying disconnect, and like, how do we make progress when we have like the fights between like, should we just talk about the first order effects? But we did it already. Good job, rationalist community. We did it. Um, great. I've come full circle. So like, yeah, what kind of critique is that, or something that you're making?
Yeah, I think it's I think, well, here I'll just say empirically,
Yeah.
80K. Well, actually, I don't know. Historically, I think 80K did say we're going to create this product to create a community. I think in 2011, like that was like what was on people's minds.
Interesting.
And at some point, maybe without much conscious deliberation, you decided like, oh, we're not here to build a community. We're just here to recommend jobs.
Right.
Even though in practice, this community is largely constructing itself around you. And you could say like, oh, maybe CEA is dropping the ball because they should be the ones focused on the community, and 80K should just be this attendant thing.
I think this is a very, very classic judo move, which I have felt very strongly on both sides of. Like, I've very strongly felt at various points that CEA or 80K or Open Phil should just like own its place in the community and like be the leaders that it like clearly sort of like empirically is. And I have felt on the inside, either literally I have been at the relevant organizations, or have just like kind of felt like the sense of like, this is some bizarre implication, obligation that came out of nowhere, like merely because you were in the arena and you have a lot of money or you made a lot of recommendations. I think this is like actually kind of a deep question, right? Like, when you, even as a person, if you like gain a lot of status, EA's favorite concept, or just, you know, influence in the world, like when should you be careful what you tweet, or like when should you be more careful like what advice you give people, because they will take it too heavily, versus like sort of like, I don't play that game, I'm just going to be upfront about where I'm at? Or is that just like such an easy cover for having a ton of under the table influence that you just like absolutely refuse to own? I don't know what the good heuristics are. I'd be interested to talk about them.
Yeah, it's a fantastic question, but yeah, it's the curse of being cool. It's like you happen to do good in this narrow thing, and
Or
then you
having
got
a
so
lot of
much cred.
money, or like whatever.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess maybe.
And there's a tyranny of the structurelessness bit, like element here, right? Do you know this essay?
No.
Tyranny of the structurelessness. You'll love this because it bitches about leftist politics. But
Good.
And makes an argument for hierarchy, is that like one of the huge values of explicit hierarchy is that it makes things explicit, is that it says, you're a teacher or you're a manager, so you have obligations, you have powers and responsibilities that come with this title, and you have like duties and obligations that are discharged to those sort of below you in the org chart and above you in the org chart, and it's all very clear. Whereas when everyone is flat, it's a flat structure, then all of the same duties, obligations, requirements, constraints exist, but they are just implicit, and your job is to figure them out or play these like political games.
Yeah. No, I'm in favor of like, yes, explicit structure, but then also you want entry, right? So that you can have some flexibility, at least across like a quasi grassroots community, right? Which is hard.
And you know, as somebody who has both been in the position of being told, hey, your words have more weight than you're expecting, you should be more careful, and who has told that to other people, it's like, it's just a shitty conversation, I think, in a lot of ways. Even though in some sense it's a compliment, it's just a shitty conversation to have, to be on both sides of. Like, oh, because I like am smart or think people think I am, like now I'm under the gun. Like now I'm a public figure. Like now people just get to like shit on me, or like what I look like, or like whether I like cut my hair the right way to be on television when I represented the EA movement or whatever. Right? Like, Will McCaskill famously gets like a ton of like comments on his appearance, and I think some of it is just like fucking weird. And like, when did he sign up for that exactly? But maybe he did sign up for it. He read a lot of books, and he's really famous. And then on the other side, it can feel like, oh, you're just not engaging with reality. You're just like pretending that your words don't have the effect. We're just going to play this game, and I just have to like, we both have to pretend that there's not a real thing going on. It just sucks. It's a shitty conversation.
So now I'm trying to think. Like,
He's trying to think of a segue into the
no,
guest.
who is who is like a person who maybe stumbled onto coolness, but like feels, some obligation towards, like shepherding the community and being a good steward of that, who could like guide us
Mm.
through this
Mm.
this difficult conversation.
Who indeed? You're not going to make me guess who stumbled onto coolness. That's the hint I get.
Stumbled, but cares about the community, right? And feels like they might be in a place where they should shepherd it.
My boss, Neil Bowerman? My boss's boss.
Quite close.
Michelle? Ah!
You better go get that, Hannah.
I better go get that. Hold on. Everybody relax.
Damn it. She turned her video off. It ruined the whole bit.
Hello.
Why did you tell me not to turn my camera off?
Well, it all happened really fast.
Also, there's something wrong with your doorbell.
In that it doesn't pursue its telos as a doorbell.
It needs coaching.
It needs coaching, don't we all? You're gonna
Hello.
Wow, this is amazing. Wow, I literally was like, this is so awkward. How do I tell Arden that I'm on a call?
Yeah, you did not.
I was surprised. I did not put two and two together even a little. Even when Matt said you should go get that. Wow. Wow.
Am I the first in-person secret?
You are the first in-person secret guest. How do you feel about being described as having stumbled onto coolness, which is how Matt described you before you came on? Wait, you're not in frame.
I feel like
Get in frame.
That's actually maybe pretty accurate.
Oh, you're too like kind and self-deprecating. I want you to get mad at him for.
Well, I was gonna say maybe I tried to become cool on purpose, but I feel like not that hard. So
What have you tried? Wait, I'm gonna move the camera.
Well, okay. Well, now we're getting into like embarrassing things about me already. Are we, by the way, filming?
Oh yeah. This is all recording. It's actually live.
Oh god.
It's not live.
What have I tried?
Whoa! Also, welcome. Hi, it's so good to have you. This is so fun. This is great. This is extremely cute.
This is like the even shorter commute.
That's right. For context, just to really give away all of our OPSEC, Arden and I live a block away from each other, and then both walk to the same workplace 6 minutes away.
I thought about so I went with Good Morning Neighbor, but I could have gone with Good Morning, manager of my partner, fiance of my coach,
colleague in general,
neighbor,
member of the organization of which I am on the leadership team.
Right. There are a lot of potential greetings.
That's right.
Okay, no, so I don't know.
Haircut.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, hair
partnership,
sort of.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, here's my little revelation. I am somebody who, for a long time, maybe I still would do this in some cases, would like before hanging out with someone, make little notes of like things that I could potentially bring up to talk about.
I don't think this is that embarrassing. I think we all need to get over the note card thing. I think the note card thing is reasonable.
Yeah.
I've never physically written them down, but I did have thoughts. Do you have them with you?
No, I didn't make any for today, which actually was a big step for me. All I prepared was Good Morning Neighbor. That's all I prepared.
That was very good. You were ready for it. Wait, you gotta get in frame.
Oh, sorry.
Arden isn't on the video program, so she hasn't yet been trained in the stare at the camera, love the camera, make the camera love you. We're gonna work on it.
Okay.
Well, I was gonna introduce Arden a little bit. As listeners may know, Arden is the web director at that place called 80,000 Hours, which we so rarely discuss.
Matt, are you trying to put together a hiring committee for you? We're not going to live hire you on the pod.
Although that would be an exciting episode. And then we just like stick that in the 80K Slack channel. And be like, that's what everyone.
Decision made.
Public interview. I did make a comment earlier that I wrote that post that was kind of like critical of the AGI pivot or whatever, and now I'm like gonna rewrite it in order to like stimulate more dialogue on these questions.
We'll hire him.
And I claim that this was like an artifact of self-sabotage on my part.
Wait, you're going to rewrite it to say what?
Oh, I don't know if you've read it, but it's like a lot of it is just like my personal like background and stories.
I responded to it, Matt.
Oh, sorry, commenters. I don't always remember when you comment.
That's so many. To be clear, the bit about him rewriting it to say that we were right is a joke on my part.
Oh, okay.
That's fake.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I have put an update on the top of the post saying they're probably right and I'm probably wrong. So put that feather in your caps. However, I think in the reconceptualized version of it, it will still be somewhat critical. And I'm claiming this is self-sabotage because 80K is like one of these organizations that's like more likely than others to hire me. Not that I'm looking for a job per se. Anywhere. But anyway, Arden directs the website. The website is great. She is the force behind many wise and compelling articles and decisions at organization. And a guest on my previous show, Held at 80K, which was also on video, which is where Arden has all her video experience and why she's so good at this.
So true. That's true. It was very good training.
Did you enjoy being on the After Hours podcast?
I did. Yeah. That was pretty fun.
So
I had to add.
What?
I had to add a whole disclaimer about how she had two massive black eyes on our last episode.
Why did you?
That was fun. Well, I'd hit my head on a counter, but it looked very dramatic.
And then
you hadn't joined the team yet. I showed up at the team retreat, just fully raccooned with a huge bump in my face too. So I had a hat.
Bringing 90s grunge back.
Yeah, it was a good look. I actually looking back, I was like, somehow it does look cool.
Yeah, no, totally.
Really painfully chapped lips. I'm like, I've never looked better.
Really?
Because it looks like lipstick from far. Like it looks very red.
I see. You know, you can get that for like $1.99.
Yeah.
If that's bottleneck.
It's somehow the organic approach. It looks better.
Okay.
Okay. I'll bring us back to the theme. So Arden, what you missed in the warm up was like talking about EA as like community, as like religion, as a thing that we want to grow and be big and have meaning for like lots and lots of people. And my suggestion was that maybe 80K, through its, I think, like conceptually justified focus on marginalism, i.e. just like doing the marginally most valuable thing, is like kind of inherently narrowing from a community growth perspective, because like you're sort of setting this bar of like the thing that you need to do to like count or belong is this like very narrow subset that's only going to apply to so many people. And so a lot of people are maybe bouncing off for this reason, and maybe 80K is driving it. What do we think?
Okay, it's an interesting idea. I feel like the thought that comes to mind immediately is something like the community that we're talking about when we talk about a big community is still only like, 100,000 people or something? And the marginalism of 80K is trying to be marginal on top of the world portfolio. So I'm not sure that I buy that it is inherently narrowing, because it's like maybe we're narrowing more than we need to in order to still be doing the marginalism thing. Because like you can still talk about what should 100,000 or 1 million people do on the margin, because it's a big world.
Maybe the question to ask is like, if we were trying to emphasize the kind of broad tenderness, should we emphasize that bit more? Like everyone reading this in our wildest imaginations remains
still
like a drop in this like huge ocean.
Yeah.
And we're so like, it would be incredible for all of these people to be thinking about in this way.
Yeah. I mean, I think we probably could emphasize it more. Could be like, we are going to we're going to like be targeting this group of whoever would read this website. Like the filter is, would you read this website? And if thank you so much for being part of this group. And we are like, and our advice is going to be sort of equally applicable to all of you. And I think that's a direction we could go. So I feel it's like not inherently like it's going to be doing this narrowing thing.
I feel confused
I think it potentially is doing the narrowing thing.
I feel confused by the premise. Why does doing things on the margin mean you're narrowing the field of people who could work? In fact, I often think it's like the opposite. Like, are you saying because like most jobs that most people have aren't different on the precisely because most people have them? Like, we don't necessarily need like more teachers on the margin. but it's really good that we have the teachers we have. And that's like off. I don't think I actually get this relationship between like working on the margin, which feels in some ways like an opening, like a spaciousness, like especially with the personal fit angle. You're like, there's so many ways that like a person like me could do something. You just have to find the low-hanging fruit, or you just have to find the open door. You just have to find the alpha. Like, you don't have to be necessarily the best person in the world. You just have to find the thing that no one else has found.
Well,
right?
I feel like that's a comparative advantage point, which I agree is very opening and very sort of welcoming. It's like, what is your thing? You get to be whatever it is, like Orange Stan or something in the like comparative advantage economics, that experiment.
Oh wow,
or whatever.
No, I did not. I'm not.
There's something like
I did not take enough econ 101 classes to
one
get that
country
reference.
makes
Yeah.
And like, be the like inferior country in some ways on all the dimensions, but still like have a huge like impact. But
you're right, that's a competitive advantage point.
Yeah, so I think that's right. But I think that the marginalism means that like we're always going to be recommending something weird, a little bit weird, and because it's in something without established pathways, and I think that is off-putting to a lot of people.
Although at first we were recommending like being a banker, right? And then doing something weird with the money.
But I feel like it was being like, okay, have this plan to do something weird. First do something non-weird. But it was still, I could imagine it being exclusion. It does feel like we could be more like, what am I trying to say? I think it makes the stuff we're most excited about harder to get into because it takes more sort of creative thought and entrepreneurialism and courage. Those are all like positive words, but I also mean like, I don't know, willingness to like take risks and do weird shit, and that's not necessarily something that
there's a little less of the like, as a society, at least this is the story, there has long been a sense of like, if you do kind of the basics, you like go to school, you like get a job, whether it's like you go to trade school or you go to university and you like get a decent job and you like don't work for the worst companies in the world and you like provide for your family and you like go to church. This is some stylized return to tradition story of like you were like a decent person, and like other moral traditions have like kind of a basic root, and then we don't have the like, if you've done this, you've done enough. Well, we do have this with the 10%.
I was about to say, yeah.
Well, wait. So this is totally my point. Is like 80K is this like?
Sorry, the two of us like looking intently to see what you're gonna say.
80K is this like
always think about clips. So true.
Very central part of the community. I think made a move in the past, which I absolved Hannah of any responsibility for. Arden might have some responsibility. Away from earning to give as like this central recommendation and thing to focus on, and that I think narrowed the criteria for belonging in the community to someone doing direct work across many causes. And now you're only doing direct work on one cause, AGI, right? And I do think that like, even if your audience is only 100,000, and one of the aspirations should certainly be to grow, right? And talk about, are we like reining in our potential here? Lots of people are just not going to be able to conceive of themselves that way. Lots of people are going to be, I don't know, too committed to other things, to other geographies, other skill sets, to like be a direct worker in AGI, right? And so they're going to feel like, oh, the offer being made here is not one that I can accept. So this isn't for me. I don't have a place here. 10% definitely gave you a place, and that was great. And I think you guys both were like happy about that as a community building thing. But we're like trading off against that, right?
So actually, there's something really interesting about AGI in particular, although maybe this is true in other causes and I'm not familiar, but we're starting, I think, to live in a world where actually there's a lot of room for potential like kind of grassroots awareness building, political activization, maybe even like kind of, you could imagine like a really big effective pause AI like protest movement. I don't have a current take on whether that would be good, but like I actually think we're moving towards a world
in politics.
Although that's hard.
Well, it's not that hard to be a like staffer. Or like, this is something that people without tons of experience can be open to. But the geography thing would stand. But like, it's a lower barrier.
But for instance, I don't mind saying this because I suspect that this podcast will not come out so soon that this will be a spoiler for our next video. But like one of our current CTAs actually is like, hey, these tech CEOs are like weirdly online and like weirdly responsive to tweets. We're not just saying tweet because like it's something you can do. It's like actually Elon Musk just does sometimes respond to specific people on Twitter.
Which you showed
in the video. And like sometimes Sam Altman just like clearly is like Rune, I think, has said like the OpenAI staff is obsessed with what people are saying about them on Twitter. He just like said that out loud. And so like this is one of our CTAs, which kind of like anyone can do. Which we don't, I guess we did kind of pick in part because we have like this viewership. It's like we don't totally know who they are yet. So we like can't give necessarily super personalized recommendations, but we do think this is something that kind of everyone can do. But we also like really believe it. We like didn't make it up out of nowhere. So I think there's like more opportunities growing that weren't present before.
I guess I would add on the AI front that, so like my view about thinking of AI as a pressing issue is that it's actually going to throw up a bunch of different problems. And so there's a perspective on it where it's like, okay, this is going to maybe transform the world super dramatically, and that is going to create many ways of that things could go better or worse. And so it's not as narrowing as I think it might have seemed a couple of years ago, where we were like focused more on catastrophic misalignment as the one threat vector. And so there is just like more room for lots of people to contribute of just like making this whole AI transition thing that like might happen really fast go well.
Strong agree. One phrase I really like that Eli Rose is the first person to tell me about was EA in the age of AGI, i.e. like all the other cause areas will also presumably be wildly affected by a transition to transformative AI. Like presumably it like, I mean, there's some work being done on AI and animals, which is like what is going to happen to the animals when we have like better AI? There's things go much better or much worse, and presumably there will be like new areas entirely, because the world is in flux.
I guess that said, to Matt's sort of perspective is going to be like, well, you're not giving advice on that on the like ADK website at least.
On the like,
or like how to work on like making things go well with animals. Well, actually, we do have something about that, but like we're not focusing on doing more of that right now.
It's true, and maybe this is to the point about the marginality is like...
Marginalia makes it sound pretty bad. We're doing a bunch of marginalia over here.
Wait, I had a point to make.
Yeah, go ahead.
These things are hard to figure out, right? Like we don't know yet what new problems are going to arise. And we often, certainly the video program is often in the position of saying like, we're excited for thoughtful people to be ready to jump at some undisclosed time and in an undisclosed way. But, keep your eyes out, because that's what I take to me my obligation also, to just like look at the world and like notice where I might be helpful. And I don't know if I have a clearer plan than that.
So you're saying, sorry, connecting this, is this like a thing anyone can do? Is that the idea?
It's sort of like but is hard. Like is sort of like genuinely like emotionally and psychologically. Yeah. No. Sorry, I'm admitting that even though there's like things many people could do, it's like it's hard, and I think people are totally would be reasonable to say like, wow, this CTA call to action is like pretty non-directive. What the hell am I supposed to do about that?
Yeah, and let me just like characterize everything that you guys just said as being like, we are totally married to these empirical predictions. And that isn't how EA was historically. It's not what I think EA is generally. EA is a set of concepts that you can map on different empirical assumptions to. Yeah, where it's like, oh, we have lots of suggestions, lots of things people can do. They're all resting on this, like, currently at least, like, very unpopular set of empirical assumptions, which, like, yes, maybe they will, like, be redeemed in the eyes of the public when everything becomes more obvious. But like the TAI hypothesis, like is just like totally disfavored among intelligent people.
Okay, sorry, can I respond to two things already? But now I'm realizing that maybe we haven't given you enough.
You see where I'm going? Like this is just like very, it's like very limiting, and like maybe it will be less limiting in the future.
Podcast. There would have been a terrible choice to start a podcast with me if that was his hope and dream.
Okay, I feel like two things. One, I do feel like 80K is like currently operating under the assumption that there's like a substantial chance that the TAI happens soon. I think that's, or like in the at least like not super distant future. Mm-hmm. So I think that is true. Married feels like a little bit too strong because it's like not really supposed to be till death do us part. Like there is like specific. I mean, I get maybe like engaged or something. Like we were definitely dating it before.
Yeah. But there's still time to call it off.
Yeah, and right, you are speaking up at the wedding. I understand that.
This is very good.
Okay, but like, I would say that that 80K, because the other thing I want to say is that like, I don't think 80K is trying to say all of EA should necessarily operate under the same empirical assumption. I think like I would say that everyone should take this very seriously. I don't know what probability they should put on it.
Can I? Sorry,
Yeah.
This is a tangent. But what do we mean when we say take things seriously? That doesn't mean agree with me, because I think there is something there, but in practice, I think this is what people kind of understandably hear. Like if I was like Arden, I spent 25 hours straight thinking about it, or like I toggled 25 hours of just reading and thinking about this, and I have come away with like a 0.001% probability on this thing, so I am not operating as if it's true. Would you have considered me to have like taken it seriously, or to currently be taking it seriously?
I think I would, but I did mean something slightly different, which was something like I do think it's reasonable to have a not super small probability on this. So, and I guess I like if I could, yeah, would I? If I could magic everyone to having a not super small probability on this, would I? I think I would. And that was what I meant by take it seriously. But like yeah, it doesn't mean necessarily work on it or like have a high probability on it. And I think like yeah, I think that's what I meant.
Great. Okay, so
but okay,
I can.
Wait, I interrupted her.
I feel like I have sorry, my best point I think, or something like I think 80K has always operated under empirical assumptions. And that EA has always operated under empirical assumptions, and that this should be thought of as something that 80K now thinks should be like added to the stack for now, and like it could be overturned. But like it has not been a pure normative movement ever. Like for example, I think that like an empirical like assumption, or not assumption, like a thing people believe for reasons, is like, well, we don't want to have like extremely top-down directed like economies or something, right? We like have some, and it's sort of an empirical assumption of EA, I think, like at least most EA, much EA, that like often markets are pretty good for stuff and you should take them very seriously. And that's totally empirical, and it's like a thing that has underlied a lot of the recommendations. And I think there's a bunch of things like that, and this is kind of in that bucket. And we should be adding to that bucket over time as we learn more about the world.
And that some like ways of having impact are like 10,000 billion times more impactful than the other ones.
And none of these are like known for sure. Like we are like uncertain about all of them, or we should be uncertain about all of them. But like
right.
they're like best guesses that we need to be working with to make action on the world.
I'll completely agree that this is not a change in kind. It's not some like categorically different thing that you're doing now. It is a continuum. And I'm just saying like you're ratcheting really hard on one end of the continuum by like expressing not like literal absolute confidence, but like expected confidence, expected relevance, whatever, like to a really, really high degree that you haven't done for other things before. Where before, I think there was like a kind of a wide option for how you can relate to these ideas, which are like consistent enough with like the general empirical assumptions or beliefs kind of like floating around the community, such that there's a lot of surface area for you to plug in. And now that surface area is getting smaller. And I'm just saying maybe you've crossed some threshold where it's too small.
I have a hot take about this, which I think isn't even so spicy, which is just like, we're so like emotionally attached to these like 3 cause area things. And like 3 is like not that many or something. And like, why did these get to get grandfathered in? And like, whenever you narrow it more than that, people got really pissed. But if you like talk about expanding it, people like I don't know, it's very asymmetric how like seriously we take the notion of like adding a 4th versus like going down to 2. And like, I think this is just like a sort of sociological grandfathered inness. And I actually think these 3 are like, I don't know, there's a lot of places to fit in, but like, I don't know how to, if I was like really focused on like global health and well-being outside of my donations, like I wouldn't have great ideas. Like my grandmother like worked in this space for a really long time, and like I could talk to her about it. But even after like, you know, a whole lifetime of hearing it from her, like I don't feel like I'd have like, I don't know, I guess I'd figure something out, but it doesn't feel like easy to slot in. I'm like, God, global development is like actually like, okay, I feel a lot more ability to operate with spaciousness in AI precisely because nobody knows what the fuck to do. So I'm like, great. I'm like adding value by just thinking hard about it. Whereas in global development, I'm like, oh my God, there's just like decades and decades of like fights between like smart and or like politically motivated and or thoughtful and or not thoughtful people, like and real people's lives are like at risk right now. Like it's not just like a doc I can change the next day. Like in some ways the stakes, I mean, this isn't endorsed, but like one of the things about the people being right there in front of you is like you could create a community center or community medical outpost, and it could like fail to reduce AIDS rates, and then you just like would have like literally failed right in front of you. And I know people like the feedback loop. Sorry, I've gotten emotional. This is taking us apart. The point is, I wouldn't know how to slot in. It would not be obvious to me.
You're saying that you think there's like sign uncertainty, or like there's uncertainty about the impact of a bunch of stuff, even
that's where I sort of like went, but that's actually like not my point. I got emotional.
It feels good to have an enormous fudge factor. I agree.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, I took it to a place. My main central point is actually like, I think we have this notion of like, it's way easier to slot in when we have all these big cause areas, but like, I don't know how. I don't know how to slot in on GHW. I like think I would figure it out, but like, sorry, outside of donations.
I do kind of feel more sympathetic because I think like more cause areas just means more slots.
Sure.
And then like if 80K or there was like an 80K for global health or something was like figuring out where should people slot in, there would be more research on this, and then it would be easier to slot in. Like part of the reason.
Just saying like 3 is not that many is like that's my mathematical.
But wait, your position is that we should move from 3 to 1.
Yeah.
Relatively speaking.
Yeah.
I'm saying at least keep the 3 and maybe consider 4.
Nothing special about 3.
Can I plant my flag on? I don't want to call it a single cause area. Yeah. It's this empirical. It's like I'm trying to add like an empirical like guess to the pile of empirical guesses, which is like that AGI might come soon and transform the world, and then that can throw up a plenty of cause areas. It's like the markets are generally good at stuff thing. Just on the empirical pile, it's not a cause area in my mind.
Right. It's like one could say, just to bring it back to worship. It's like if God was real, that's like not religion isn't a new cause area, but it's like a fact that like would change what we should do about everything else. And then we would have like the hell abolitionists, and we would have the like conversion maximizers, and then we would have the like Pascal's Wagerians, and like you know what I mean? Yeah.
Right. Or the like
guys are not sounding culty at all.
You're the holy book guy.
Yes, but my holy book is going to be about, I think, much more justified and relatable concepts than like some empirical thing that no one believes.
You think that the words justified and relatable are pointing to the same thing for the same reasons.
I
think he thinks that which is relatable is more justifiable.
No.
He cares about that which is relatable. Because he cares about the facts of how many people will vibe with the thing.
Religion, big man in the sky, is not justified, but super relatable.
I agree with that.
And AI is neither. TAI, right?
Yom Kippur is coming up. That's my biggest big man in the sky moment of the year. It's penance and atonement and beating of chest. It's my favorite. My favorite Jewish holiday.
So can I change frame a little bit here? Yes. I understand that you two had some lengthy conversations about like the EA community qua EA. And like, I want to like absolve 80K. Like Tana and I discussed this before you got here, Arden, but like, is 80K responsible for like broadening or narrowing the cause areas? I think as a coincidence of history and popularity, like they could be conceived as such, but we don't need to like endorse that. They can just recommend the best thing on the margin, and that's fine. So like putting 80K aside as an actor in the space, what do we think about like how to make like a big and powerful EA community?
It's so validating and relatable to me how much you have a thing to say halfway through what he says, because I also always have this, and I'm like, am I weird? But you are also
great. This. Optimal guest choice.
He's talking about like the bread and butter.
I love that.
So yeah, I have things to say. Like I don't think it's a coincidence that people like look to 80K for the cause area stuff, because with the fact that we like want to narrow, because they're like looking for opinionated people who actually are like, we think that this is maybe the best thing to do. It's like non-coincidental that 80K is a good way of building the EA community. And I think it has to do with the fact that we are not aiming at it directly. We're trying to help people have more impact. And then,
nice.
And impact in the community can be at odds. It's a theme that I bring up a lot. And I happen to be a community guy rather than an impact guy. And maybe that's a fault. We talked about it on a previous episode that will come out.
You're so confused.
It contains multitudes. I'm sorry, you were trying to get to a different thing, which was
right. My sense is that the conversation that you guys were having 2 weeks ago.
Classic. Arden wants to get to the point. I want to psychoanalyze Matt. I have more time. Let's stick to the ideas.
Was that the conversation you guys were having 2 weeks ago about EA was like?
Sorry. Yes, conversation.
Fairly divorced from like 80K per se, and more just about like, what do we do about EA? Can you guys like catch me up on where you guys landed there and whether it relates to my holy book?
Talking about the stuff we talked about when we were like on the bus to the MCF. Is that right?
I think that's what he means.
Okay.
Sounds right.
Yeah, our conversations about EA as a religion type stuff. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Good.
yeah.
Um,
I think all he knows, at least from me, is Matt. We talked about your ideas.
Oh, great.
On the bus.
Yeah. Okay. So I think I noticed in myself that I am interested in a community that helps me be a better person, per se, and that in which I can sort of like think through thorny moral issues and that is like inspiring from a moral perspective and that is trying to be morally serious in a world that's very confusing and in which it sometimes feels like not that many people are trying to be morally serious. And uh, I think the EA community has a lot of the ingredients that could serve that function for people. I don't know if I strongly think it should, or I'm not sure about that, but I'm interested in exploring like, can it do more of that? Um, and this might get glossed as EA is kind of like a religion because religion has done that for people, and uh, I think I currently feel like I would be happy to have EA fill the help me be a better person slot. And it does already kind of do that, but it could do more and I could do more with it. And with EAs, we could like discuss how to be better a bunch more. And yeah, I'd be excited about that. That's kind of like where I'm at on this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm so in favor. That's what I want my like book to inspire and to be for people. And I guess my claim is like it is much more compelling to have a variety of stories, right? Like kidney donation, various kinds of like veganism, animal advocacy, stuff like that, global health, naturally, and also like real worry about like AI, nuclear war, biorisk, these like big fateful kind of things. But like in combination, that just creates a lot of surface area for lots of kinds of different people to get that filled for them in a way that Hannes Google Doc shitting on Sam Altman really just don't.
I don't know. You haven't seen my excellent Google Doc. Like leave. Yeah, there are many ways to live a good life is a compelling notion, to be sure.
I think I also think it's true.
I also think it's true.
Okay.
I think. Well, I notice in myself. Well, it's sort of. I feel like I'm a little asymmetric on this, as I think many people are, which is like when I think of other people, I'm like, oh, there's so many ways that people are living good lives. But when I think about me, I'm not like, there's so many versions of Hannah. Like, you know what I mean?
You're like, I need to like point at the.
Yeah.
I need to find my way to the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that makes me feel like I'm.
I guess this is in part. This feels like a difference between the
inconsistent somewhere.
The maximizing thing and the good thing,
That's
right? So like, you probably do believe there's a lot
right.
of ways for Hannah to live a good life, but you don't want to just live a good life. You want to live the best life.
That might be right. Something like that. Yeah, and just to state the obvious, like a really striking feature of EA is that it asks you to like commit, or many versions of it ask you to commit your work life, and like most religions do not do the work and ritual and religion like in the same thing. Be kind of interesting to talk to people who like do, whether because they're in the clergy or because they like work in the Jewish, Muslim, Christian, Hindu nonprofit industrial complex, which I'm most familiar with the Jewish one. But like, what is it like to have your work and your meeting be like that? Not just because your meeting comes from your work, but like you go to shul on your non-work hours and you go to shul on your work hours, and then when you do the like boring keeping the lights on stuff, but also stuff that's really meaningful, and you like write curriculum that you hope will inspire. I don't know. It'd be kind of interesting to ask somebody that.
Yeah.
Like, because I noticed I reacted a little bit because I was like, oh, why can't EA just do this? Maybe we should like talk to each other more at work about like living more moral lives. And then I was like, oh, there's so many tripwires on making sure that your colleagues don't get to like demand more of you, precisely so that you have like any boundaries at all.
Yeah. A word that comes up a lot here.
Remember the boundaries from above of all the ways that she could have introduced herself at the door.
That's right. A word that comes up here a lot is totalizing.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've had a bunch of mini arguments over the years of almost like defending totalizingness as like okay, but it's obviously in various ways dangerous. I think the thing I sometimes react against is kind of like, oh, anything that sort of expands the relevance of EA for people's lives, like many of their friends are EA, or they decide to like pursue impact as their like chief and like dominating career goal or whatever. is totalizing in a bad way, or because it is increasing the surface area or something of the relevance of this, that's like super concerning in itself. But yeah, you point to a way in which it could make things worse by
And so
a bunch of cases.
I just want to suggest maybe like a healthy alternative, a healthy evolution, or something like that, that really kind of somewhat deliberately separates the normative from the positive, right? Where like a relatively small fraction of the community is going to end up doing direct work, especially if you have a big community. Most people will be kind of like earning to give, supporting things they feel are important. When you come to check in on like the EA part of yourself or part of your life, it's mostly normative. It's mostly high level concepts. Maybe you use lots of examples to illustrate the points or whatever. And maybe some, again, that small portion will go and do some work. A lot of them will be in AI safety or whatever, and they'll be like motivated by EA reasons. But when they step into work, then they get very empirical. But that isn't like the central thing that the whole community is focused on and worried about the whole time and obsessing over. And that's less totalizing and more kind of like inclusive of like all the people who could build a strong and like healthy, happy community.
Can you just, before I object to what you're saying, flesh out the like, when you say it's mostly normative when you're checking in outside work, you mean like, can you just say what it means to be mostly normative?
So when you, I don't know, when you go to whatever part of your life you consider the EA part of your life, and to talk about EA things, you're not talking about like the latest AI papers and developments and like worrying like details and stuff like that. Maybe sometimes you're like making reference to that problem or something like that, but you're talking about it at a very high level, the way they do in regular religions, and using some examples from lots of different problems and lots of things that people are doing. And this may motivate some small fraction of the community to like go and work on those things and think about the empirical stuff like very intensely in their work very often. And maybe this is what ADK talks about the whole time. But for most people who are part of this project and engage with it, that's just like an example of a good thing. It's something they endorse and feel good about. They haven't looked deeply into it. And like empirically, this is already true. And people are just kind of hanging on to the community despite feeling like they're not super AI experts or whatever. And I'm just saying like, make that EA, like having sympathy for these various causes, liking the principles, but then only a small fraction of people who we don't like overly obsess over, like go deep on the empirical side.
But what's an example? What's a positive example of a normative thing? So they're not talking about the details of the AI paper. What are they talking about when they like meet with their EA friends and get in touch with their EA selves?
Yeah, I think like self-sacrifice. Just like, you know, how much should you donate? How much could you donate? How to organize your life? How frugal should you be? That sort of thing in a very kind of general way. Then I think like examples of problems are fine. I mean, you can talk about the latest political events the way that most, I think, churches, they have like a sermon or a homily that says like, hey, here's how our religion helps you relate to this thing.
Function of the sermon, right, is to bring the holy texts in communication with the current world. It's like that's precisely what it is there for.
And like, I think a lot of people have resisted this, like where EA could have comments on like headline news, because we feel like, oh, the headlines are not capturing the things that's really important. But I think we can tie the headlines in with the things that are really important, compare them to different things. It's not always AI. Sometimes it's animals, sometimes it's global health. You know, and just be like much more diverse and much broader, and less like really pounding the hammer on prioritization, even though prioritization is like something we endorse, but just like be less obsessive about it in some way.
Okay, so I both do kind of want personally the thing that you're talking about, like a space to talk about. Yeah, basically like being a more morally serious person, or talking about like how to do this or something, like how much should I work or donate or something, and how should I relate to like, I don't know, what's happening in Gaza and things like that. But at the same time, the objection that I had, which I now feel like I can make, is it feels like part of the thing that animates EA and that I think is good about it is that it ties the moral to the empirical a lot. And it's like, hey, it's not about giving of yourself. It's about helping others. It's about what actually is helping others. It's about what's actually impacting them out there in the world. And so I worry that it would lose some of what makes EA good and interesting and distinctive if it was like, well, let's not get too worried about what actually happens in the causal chains that end up in the like material impacts on the world in this time when we're getting in touch with our EA selves. Because that's kind of a lot of the point.
I think there's something like some ways of looking at the world like imbue kind of everything with mattering, right? Like, I don't know, the purple of the flowers and the cries for help of the homeless and the exercise you do and don't do that day. And EA like mostly like doesn't do that, right? Like EA mostly, we sort of talked about this with Andy, right? Like the degree to which like environmentalism sort of like has something to say about like every part of your life. And EA is totalizing and demanding, or can be. And so in some sense, it's like, well, is exercising the optimal thing? And is like looking at the purple of the flower the optimal thing? So like definitely like sort of has something to say, but it doesn't, it sort of does, I feel like, retract rather than expand sources of meaning in a way I think is very like powerful, which is to say, wow, Connie, you sure are obsessing about whether you like gave $5 to that guy. Is that like where your time and energy and sorrow are like, is that helping the world, or is that like self-indulgent and just like not helping? And
yes,
there is a narrowing, and I think you're pointing to a narrowing, but I also think that narrowing is like
so wait, right? Hannah, you just were my priest for a moment there.
Every week, isn't that what this is?
That is the kind of sermon is like, are you really freaking out over this $5? Aren't you aware of the trade-offs and the opportunity costs, right? Which is, I agree, retracting and narrowing, like relative to like the general world. All I'm saying is like, if you take that too far, you end up just like having less impact overall, or a smaller and weaker community. I think most of the sermons and most of the homilies should be pointing to these trade-offs and pointing to like you have to prioritize and not everything matters, but just being a little more agnostic about exactly what you prioritize too, as long as it's like reasonably justified, which I'm sorry, like our three things kind of are. Maybe we evolve to a fourth, that'd be great. These things are sticky for bad reasons, but like, yeah, I wish I could make them unstick.
So suspicious that we landed on a trinity. Like 3 is so like, it's just like, I don't even mean religiously. I just mean like
power of 3.
Power of 3, motif, upper and lower third. It's like so fucking suspicious.
Yeah, agreed.
Oh, are there 3 things that kind of get 3 different vibes? They're basically like sort of a Hogwarts house for like.
Well, there are 4 Hogwarts houses.
4 of those, yeah. Well, we have the evil one, and we're left with the other 3.
Why did they have the evil one at Hogwarts?
Slytherin gets a bad rap. They were treated very unfairly.
What's that question in some depth?
Sorry, this is like now going back to the other thing, but I did kind of want to defend the fact that we stickily have the 3 cause areas.
Oh yeah,
but not because I totally fully believe it. And we can come back to this, which is like, I feel like there's a lot of meat here, but like,
I see Matt looking at the time. I'm chill. I'm having a great time.
You guys think I have something to do?
Great. I think we can go long. I have a meeting with her boyfriend in half an hour.
Okay, great. So I think they appeal for 3 different kinds of, they have like 3 different kinds of cases justifying them. So like animal stuff is like, oh, we're like, especially farmed animal, at least farmed animal welfare is like, we're sort of perpetrating a huge moral atrocity as a group, and let's like stop doing that. And that's a sort of incredibly strong heuristic for like, this is a thing to focus on. And then global health is like, oh, you can like save someone's life who's like right there, and it's like fairly reliable as these things go. I guess you were saying like there are like disagreements and stuff, but like there's a sort of like immediate
deep truth
helping. And then with the AI stuff and existential risk stuff in general, it's the sort of like focus on the thing that will like, is like most important, like huge global thing. And if you can just like help change the world's direction in like a good way, it's extremely compelling. And I just feel like
so I agree with all of that, but how do we know that that's like MECE, as ADK likes to call it, like mutually exclusive and
I agree,
comprehensively exhaustive. What?
You think ADK developed the term MECE? Like,
oh, I thought. Well, sorry. In terms of calling it this cute term, is that not true?
It's a bit of a
no. Business schools teach it all the time.
ADK thing,
fine.
But it's collectively exhaustive, I think. So the idea, like together,
that's also something people say about EA.
Collectively exhaustive.
Oh, exhausting.
Yeah, sorry. I think I'm like defending their being.
Wait, we are kind of mutually exclusive and collectively exhausting. We're sort of exclusive. Anyway.
Yeah.
Continue.
Anyway, I don't think this is a good argument that there's only 3. I agree with that. But the fact that they've stuck around is, I think, because there's like these different like approaches to deciding what is the most important thing or most pressing thing to work on that get all of them. So they don't really defeat each other because people have like different use different.
But this is how we find a fourth thing, right? Is we figure out what like mental space is unoccupied by the 3.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's so many possible ones if you believe all kinds of things, whether it's like, hell minimization via religion, or panpsychism and therefore like the electrons, or I don't know, if you like both somehow believe in like multiple universes or simulation, but that there's some like causal effect you can have on the other ones, then maybe we'll start wanting to do that, or aliens, or
like a very like close to home heuristic you could do would be like, I don't know, what's your like civic responsibility or something, and like that's what tells you what you should do, and then you should like work in, I don't know, making government good,
or like a Tyler Cowen-esque like even on long-termist grounds, or like deeply impartial grounds, like institutions are just like important, and like liberal democracy and free speech and functioning governments are just like by far the most important, or running extremely successful companies just like makes so much value, and like explores the space of like how you can even create value that just isn't beat by all of our do-gooding nonprofit work. So I think there's like lots of things that EA like could have looked like.
Yeah. Or like knowledge production.
Could. Future tense, Hannah.
Could look like. Could look like. Sorry. All right, please. Okay, here's an interesting thought, maybe. Here's a thought. What you described me doing to you as like your priest was like, am I wrong? So I think of this as something I get from EA all the time by default. Maybe I'm just in the lucky few who live in the holy land of Berkeley, California, and so like get this like sort of literally on the street because you just run into people. But where if I'm just like, I don't know, if I'm like, oh God, I feel like I go to work every day and I like do it on the basis of the notion that my job has impact, but actually I'm like worried that my job doesn't have any impact, or like we're all going in the wrong direction. I like go on a long walk with people who share my values. And I have done that for other people. And we've talked about like the big and the little, right? The like, should I have kids? Or the like, is my organization going in the wrong direction? Or like, I'm miserable at my job, but I think I'm doing good. How miserable should I let myself be? Or like, I feel like we do that for each other. Is that like the good thing and you want more of that? Perhaps a question for both of you, or is like, am I not nailing the thing?
Yeah, I think just find a way to scale that, right? That's what like your church community would do for you in other religions.
I think I have a slightly different answer.
Isn't this what like city and community groups kind of are? Like, I think if you're in DC and you're like, I don't know, man, I feel like I don't really have a lot of people to talk to about this because all of the personal, professional, whatever. But that's what Andy Maisley is there for. Seriously, no, like completely unironically, right? He runs the agency.
Yeah, no. He's like the best.
And it's like literally his job to be, and he is like excited to be.
Yeah. And that's basically my pitch is like, let's scale up it.
We have like, we'd have to have CEA, but there's so many city and national groups.
I guess it's
actually, and they all have a director.
Yeah.
Of like greatly varying strength, longevity, vitality, and quite minimal support.
It's like, isn't that true of Christian ministers?
It seems clear we could definitely invest more in this, and maybe like Matt is just saying we should invest more in this. We should like be like, this is a really important role. Let's like get more people who are like potentially interested in doing this role and like cultivating it and helping them. Like they help each other do it well. But okay, I want to say that that's not exactly the thing that I was saying that I am interested in. Sorry, like I think that is like very sort of a piece with it, and is great and gives me some of this. But I think I'm also kind of interested in like an institution that doesn't rely fully on my like volunteering my own like issues and needing and seeking out someone to help me be better when I particularly am motivated to do so. Something that's more like, well, every week we get together and it's like you're asked like, how are you not living your values? And like then I like it's like something that pulls it out of me more. Whereas I think EA has been very afraid of being too sort of like pulling things out of people, or like extractive in that way. Or extractive is not the right word. Like too demanding, basically, because our struggles with demandingness has made us want to be like, no, it's okay. It's whatever you want, whatever.
Well, because our other thing is so demanding relative to other religions.
Like what you should actually do. Yeah.
Like we are just more demanding than other people by default, and so it like kind of makes sense that we've tried to like
circumscribe it. Or like, with this like small part,
or balance it out.
Super demanding,
right? So we don't feel excited about being like especially demanding in other.
I mean, and that is, I think that is a good argument for thinking for wanting to maintain some of these boundaries. But I guess I feel like I would value like being sort of like proactively nudged toward being a better person in a bunch of ways.
Can I list like 5 versions of that, and you can tell me which appeal to you? So like, one is like, you go to something like a church every Sunday, and there's like a sermon and a homily, and it like varies on some axis of how much it's like we are failing by our own lights to do X, Y, and Z. But sometimes it's just like, here's an interesting reading, ponder that. So it varies, probably based on like the priest or like what's going on in the news. Number 2 is like a vibe that's just like more cool to call each other like out/in, right? Like there's all these things in Judaism, Christianity about exactly how you are meant to like correct each other. And so like it would be like more chill for me to be like, Arden, I noticed that I'm not sure you're living your best values. Can we go on a walk and talk about it? I wanna be the light of utility onto you or whatever in this moment. Or whatever, and vice versa. Those are the 2 I had when I said 5, and so now I'm gonna come up with 3.
I was
fast.
really impressed that you had 5 already.
I was gonna figure it out as I went, but those are the 2 in mine. A third would be something like one thing I really like in some forms of Judaism, like because you go through the whole Torah every year, you sort of like get different, like the lessons that are imbued in the whole, like you get different ones at different times. And so like you kind of get the natural progression and variation. Some people do this thing, which I've now forgotten the Hebrew word for, but like every month you like dwell on a different virtue. There's 12 virtues, and like that's the month of, which is very like seasons of.
So it's like a course. There's a
why? Oh, like each course, like
yeah.
I think of it more as like if each month was sort of like genuinely named after a value. We lived in such a values driven society, like in the same way that like Monday is Moon Day, and so like that's when you remember that like there's a goddess of the moon, and like perhaps you should like pay her obeisance and so on. And Sunday and Saturn Day, and and all the other ones are named after Norse gods. Did you know that one? Yeah, it's a fun fact. Like Thursday is Thor's Day. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to stick to 3.
Okay. Power of threes. Yeah. The first one is the thing I had in mind.
Yeah.
I don't have a super developed view about like what would actually be best of those.
I'm just trying to flesh out.
And they're not like mutually exclusive either, right?
So yeah.
I do think the third
drawing from literally my religious tradition, which has all 3 of those things.
And I mean, so I think like, I think the direction they're all pointing though is like, especially the third one maybe, is like you have 12 different virtues. And implicitly, well, hang on.
Literally the virtues of rationality. I think there are 12 of them.
All right, I'm not so steep in rationalism.
Wow. Get it together. The virtue of lightness, the virtue of curiosity, the virtue of the void. Oh, they're good.
Okay, and hang on. I'll actually say,
and
for my
group house here used to have like visual imagery of each one, like they like sort of associated each one with like a visual image that that was AI generated, and they like had them up the stairs. So it really was like a rational simulation better than the A's.
They definitely do it more.
That was exactly what I was going to say. I was going to say, from my vantage point, the rationalists are doing a much better job at this kind of thing, because I think there's some implicit equality between those 12 virtues or whatever, where it's like you can dwell on each, you can find your place in each, you can find a place here, given some combination of them.
TA is more is like
AI is more like, what's your job? Are you doing the AI policy or not? Like,
I don't think it's about prioritization. Or EA is like one of core insights is this thing about prioritization, and so it's not going to have 12 virtues that are all on equal footing, because it's going to be like,
but it's like,
well, okay, but if you really focus on 5 of them, then can you let the other 7 go and actually be fine? And I think that's
what rationality like invites you to do is to like apply rationality to like literally anything, right? Yeah. It's like there's a reason that Less Wrong has like a way higher variety of like people will be like, I spent some time thinking about rocks today, and like here's my takeaway on the rocks. And it's like, it's delightful, right? It's like a very like in the world.
Fun to read. Yeah. Okay, sorry. But can I interrupt us and for a second, because I actually really have to pee.
Yeah.
And then maybe that means we should end the podcast, or maybe
maybe we can wrap in like the next 3 minutes. Okay, but basically, I'll say you both persuaded me that everything is on a continuum here. There's been no like categorical change, and all my like suggestion offer to like readers is like, is there a way to just like push the continuum and make it broader in such a way where I think like Arden, you said like there's one value, it's prioritization. It's not exactly what you said, but like prioritization of your scope centered altruism or whatever, and it has like one kind of clear implication, and that's just like so limiting from a community perspective relative to like 12 equal virtues.
One value is prioritization, the rest is commentary. It's very good.
Well, anyway, You didn't say that. Arden didn't say that. It is an expression of my worry and the kind of thing that I'd like to creatively push back against, which, Hannah kind of did.
Push back against, not because you don't think it's true, but because you think it has bad second order effects. I think this is like warped from the beginning.
Or exactly thinking right. Because
second order effects might be bigger than the first one.
He's trying, and
yes.
he's prioritizing them.
Well, I'll say two things. One is like, again, confessing my guilt. I care more about the ideas than I care about impact, right? So I am just a second order simp.
And the people who will be, I claim, most interested in the expanding will be selected. It will be like some percentage people who like genuinely believe the thing, and also selected for the people who just like think it would be good if it was true. And so you are going. This happens all the time in EA, right? Or like in all kinds of things. It's just like selection effects rule everything around us, which is like the kinds of people who will like advocate for a broadening of the tent will obviously be the kind of people who like believe in. Do you know what I mean? You'll get like a funny.
Well, I feel like Matt's trying to say he's not that. He's like, I don't even know what I think on the. Or well, sorry, Matt didn't say this, but
it's just like the narrow prioritization of EA vibe will almost never be able to do the religion thing because we don't think that's a good use of our time. The only people who would think it was a good use of time are the people who don't believe that. So like some things don't. Yeah, there's something interesting there, or there's some like selection effects important,
or who are more interested in the community than the impact.
Yeah, right. And I'm excited about the second order effects. Not as
people who are more interested in the community than impact.
Yeah. Okay, sorry.
That's the sorry. No, that was a more precise way to say
I thought you were saying that believed that working on the community is the most impactful thing. I guess you're gonna mix of those two.
That's right. No, we'll select for precisely both of those people.
Yeah, I believe that working on the community is impactful enough that under a low bar kind of broad conception of what EA should be, it is over the bar, and we should do it.
Some blessing upon that course of action.
Yeah. All right.
I do think there's like a tension before you let Arden go and go pee. I do think there's an interesting thing where a lot of people who are doing like not the normal thing in EA really want EA's blessing. And I think there would be something very based about like not doing that, like making a thing that you think is the right thing and just like not fighting for everybody else to give you the approval, but to just fucking do it. And just be like, I think I'm right. I'm gonna go do my thing.
I like it. I just want to draw the line in a different place than it seems to be implicitly drawn.
Very well.
Arden,
I don't have anything to say.
Congratulations. Arden gets to go pee. Hannah gets to prepare for her meeting with Arden's boyfriend. And
what does
you all get?
Go to the gym?
Oh, God.
Go to the gym.
Yeah, I'll get my neighbor to take me to the Y. All right.
Hell yeah.
Aww. So it's just a community thing.
Chicago is a hard place to, well, for me, as a person not settled here in my stepmom's basement. To do things, but there is a way, and I'll find it.
Great.
All right. Thanks all.
Bye. Thanks for having me. All right, great. Cool. Okay, I have to go. Yeah. That was fun.
This is good.